What is going on, everyone? Today I want to talk about Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning. 40 years later. That's right, it's been 40 years since this released. Crazy, I know. But I want to talk about it because it is the 40th anniversary of Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning. Tommy is now grown up, at least a teenager, right? All the posters and everything really made you think Tommy was going to be the killer, because at the end of Final Chapter, obviously, we see his crazed eyes at the end over the shoulder of his sister Trish, and even the movie plays like maybe it's Tommy. But it's not really hiding the fact that it's probably not Tommy, considering we have a lunatic in the house who apparently is allowed to have an axe, who clearly is unhinged, but he's allowed to have an axe, who goes crazy and ballistic on poor old Joey, chops him up to bits. Paramedics arrive, and one of them is very disturbed by this and has a very curious look on his face in one scene. Now, maybe that's just to throw you off, I don't know. But it's very blatant. And then even later, when he's talking to the sheriff or whatever, and it's like, why would he stop and talk to him like that? It's weird. They're not really hiding the fact that he's an interesting character, right? Needless to say, you go through the movie and you're like, okay, you see Jason's hands. You don't see Jason in full. You see Jason in full when Tommy's hallucinating about Jason, but the man that's running around killing people, you don't see him in full, but you do see his hands and stuff, and you're like, those hands look awfully healthy and clean and not beat up like Jason's hands or crazy fingernails or anything like that. Doesn't look like Jason whatsoever, nor do I think we were meant to think it was Jason, although they kind of do that as well. Everybody's pointing the finger at Jason. When I first saw the movie, I think it was like 91 or 92 or something like that on USA Up All Night. It was the first Friday the 13th movie I ever saw. I knew of the character Jason. I've wanted to see the Friday the 13th movies before I saw this one, just haven't. And then with this one being the first one, didn't know what to expect. Obviously, there was no internet to tell me what was going on. I didn't have any of the Fangoria magazines or anything like that at my disposal to read about it. So, didn't know anything about this movie going in. And you can imagine my confusion by the end, where I'm like, hold up. What? Like, okay, the paramedic was Jason? That's crazy. And I was enamored by the fact that he was able to get some kind of head that looked like Jason, and because you see him at the end and it's kind of sitting there all ripped open and whatever. I was like, that's interesting. I want one of those. Needless to say, this movie gives you a really different kind of vibe versus the other Friday the 13th movies. While they've always been campy, this one really ratchets up the campiness. And we're introduced to some crazy characters that are really dumb and stupid for obvious reasons, because let's face it, in these movies they have to be. And yes, of course, we are introduced to the lovely Deborah Voorhees that everyone knows and loves for obvious reasons. But some of the kills in this actually had like the most kills in a Friday the 13th movie up to that point, which is hilarious. Some of the kills in this are great, but of course they're marred by freaking MPAA ratings and chopping up the movie left and right just to get it out there. While some of them do have most of it involved, like the flare in the mouth and stuff, there was still more to that. And the slit in the throat of the dude in the car at the beginning, there was kind of a more lengthy scene to that, which there is a clip online somewhere of the extended version of that. Or the strap across the tree when he's twisting it and then he's turning it the wrong way and whatever. At least it looks like that. That was more extended, and you didn't get all that either. So it was quite chopped up. The scene where Junior gets the big butcher knife right to the neck while he's riding the motorcycle, there's that still shot, which is actually on the back of the VHS right there. That one right there. I wanted to actually see that in the movie. Now, I don't know if that was actually in the movie, that particular shot, but it would have been cool to see that, because I guess that scene was also obviously chopped down to size. Now, they say it was just because of how many times his head bounced, but again, we have this. It's probably just a production still, but I would have liked to seen that and see if it was in the movie, but we'll never know, because any of the stuff they cut from this movie, they literally got rid of it, so there's no way to get it back, which really sucks. Really sucks ass. I would only hope that somebody somewhere had old tapes of that footage that worked on the movie, but it just hasn't happened, and if by now it hasn't happened, it probably isn't gonna happen. Anyway, Tom Morga plays the imposter Jason in this, and he also plays the real Jason in the hallucinations from Tommy, and he also played Michael Myers in Halloween 4 for a little bit. So Tom Morga, I love him in this as the killer. I like his movements and everything else. I liked him as Michael and the scenes that he did for Michael in Halloween 4. And yeah, I always thought, man, you know, if I could meet that dude someday. And guess what I did at a Comic-Con, which I'll show you in pictures here. But yes, Tom Morga, I have the NECA Roy mask that he did sign for me, which was cool. And this mask, though, on the front of the VHS, you never see it. Wonder why? Probably because it's never in the movie. You go in the video store and you see something like this on the shelf, and you're like, this is all you have to go on. This and then the back. You're like, wait a minute. The mask on the front, the mask on the back, look nothing like each other. What is this mask about? Well, I think it's just to say a new beginning. We're doing a new beginning. This Jason mask is completely different than what you know. Hence, a new beginning. Either way, people hated this when it came out because it wasn't Jason. It was very confusing. It was very over the top. And it was very much like a low budget porno slasher, kinda. But then again, it was directed by Danny Steinman, so that's probably why. Anyway, as far as the movie goes itself, I've always liked it. Even as a kid, this was the first one I saw. Obviously, nostalgia may be playing a part in that. But I've always liked it. It's weird. It's campy. It definitely stands out as different from all the other entries in the franchise. And yeah, it's just a very strange, weird, campy, fun little romp through the world of Friday the 13th with Tommy Jarvis. And of course, we find out, as I said, Tommy is not the killer and is instead Roy, the ambulance driver, because his son was Joey, the one hacked up at the beginning of the movie. So, anyway, how do I rate this or rank this as a movie? I'm going to give it 3 out of 5 knives. Obviously, it is not at the top of my list by any means, but it's not at the bottom either, because I have a lot of fun with this movie. I really do, and some of the characters are just hilarious to watch, like Ethel or whatever her name is, and she's just, you know, bullying her son all the time, Junior, and it's just hilarious. And Junior does get annoying, so you really can't blame her. You know what I mean? It's like, shut up, dude. Pam in this, hey. And then you got little Reggie the Reckless. He's cool. He's a cool character. So yeah, 3 out of 5 knives for this one. I have fun with it, and it's a fun time to watch. Even though it's completely ridiculous, it's so different than the other entries in the franchise. It's not even Jason, but I still have fun. It's still fun. So yeah, there you go. Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning, 40 years later. Crazy. If you like this kind of thing, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you're notified when I upload more videos. And with that said, I will catch you all down the road.